And the purpose of the second Arab Spring is to allow the state of Israel to replace the United States of America as a ruling state in the world. In order for Israel to replace the United States and lay claim to being a ruling state in the world, Israel has to wage great wars, big wars. The territory of the state of Israel has to expand to encompass the biblical frontiers. Israel has to establish its political and economic dominion over the whole Arab world. But Israel does not want to wage her big wars while appearing before mankind as a naked aggressor. So Israel needs a fig leaf. Israel needs casus bellum, a justification for waging war. Israel is armed to the teeth. Israel has weapons which are state of the art. And Israel has NATO, which is the biggest military force in the world today. Israel has NATO as a military arm to support her. Israel is ready anytime to wage her wars. But Israel needs an excuse. When you read and understand the Arab Spring, you will see what's happening. The master plan is twofold. First of all, the master plan is to install Islamic regimes around Israel. Islamic regimes, that is, the Islamic movement has to take over a country. And the Islamic regimes, when they take over the territory around Israel, must appear to the world as being very hostile to Israel and threatening Israel. So that Israel could say to the world, Islam is now a menace. It's a menace to us and to the world. The second plan of the master plan, the second part, is to foment and cause Sunni Shia civil war in Islam. So that Islam would look bad before the world. Look at them, stupid Muslims, fighting with each other. Sunni Shia civil war. The Sunni Shia civil war is on its way. And while there are Salafi who are my students and listen to me, there are others who don't. And unfortunately, the ones who are the vanguard of fomenting the Sunni Shia civil war are those Salafi. When they succeed, and it seems to me the amount of success they are having, that they may ultimately succeed in getting a ring around Israel of Salafi governments. When they succeed, Israel will then get the chance to wage a big war. What's going to be the outcome of that war? Do they know that it's going to be the destruction of the Arabs? The hadith is in Sahih Bukhari. Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is asleep. In fact, the hadith is repeated in Sahih Bukhari 4 times. 4 different chains of narration. So it's called a mutawatir hadith. Strongest hadith of all is mutawatir. Narrated by this companion, narrated by that one, narrated by that one, narrated by that one. Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is asleep at the home of his wife Zainab radiallahu ta'ala anha. And he wakes up from his sleep. He's seen something in his sleep, and it is something terrible. And his face is flushed red. A hole has been made in the barrier, the radam, built by Zulqarnain, which was preventing Gog and Magog from entering into mankind. Today a hole has been made in that barrier, indicating that now Gog and Magog will be able to penetrate the barrier and enter amongst mankind. She then asked, Zainab radiallahu ta'ala anha then asked, and listen carefully, Anuhlika, will we be destroyed? Wafina salihun, while there are still righteous people amongst us. To which he replied and said, Na'am, yes, you will be destroyed. Ida kathur al-khabath, when khabath prevails. The best way to translate the word khabath here is scum. And they take money and they take weapons from Saudi Arabia, from Qatar, from Turkey, which is comfortable as a member of NATO. Comfortable as a member of NATO. Taking weapons from NATO, which is a military arm of the Zionists, to wage their Yankee jihad in Libya. Shame on them! Shame on them! Shame on them for what they did in Libya. Does that make me a supporter of Gaddafi? What rubbish! What absolute rubbish is that? That if I condemn you for what you did, that makes me a supporter of Gaddafi? You should be thrown out for such stupidness. No, I'm not a supporter of any government in the world of Islam today. None. Examine my record to see whether I'm a supporter of any government. None. Most certainly not Gaddafi. But what they did in Libya was to form an alliance with NATO. Where did they get the weapons from that was flooded into Benghazi? Was there stocked up in Benghazi before the insurrection began? They got it from NATO. They got it from Turkey, NATO's member state. And they got the financing from Saudi Arabia, the petrodollars. And when Dajjal began to beat his drum, now is the time, then they rose up in their Yankee jihad and they took over Libya. So today, NATO is comfortably in charge of Libya. Why does that create such a danger for Egypt? Answer: the Bible that they rewrote with their own hands says that the Holy Land extends from the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates. That's false. The Quran shows that's false. But that's in the Bible. So Dajjal has to cause the state of Israel to expand from the river Nile to the river Euphrates. The whole of the eastern delta of Egypt. Israel has to take it over. Israel can't take it over with aerial bombardment. No, you need a land invasion for that. But Egypt has about 80 million people. 80 million. So if you're only attacking from the east by land, it's going to be a very long war. So what you have to do is to surround Egypt. So you first of all foment trouble in the Sudan. You go fishing in Sudan, which is what Israel did, and finally bring about a division of Sudan into north and south. And southern Sudan becomes an ally of Israel. And you already have Ethiopia in your pocket as an ally of Israel. Okay, and you're going to go fishing, of course, in the waters of the Nile to prevent the river Nile from flowing into Egypt and so on. Egypt's throat being cut. So you have the makings of an attack from the south. And then NATO takes over Libya. So you have NATO in the west, and you have Israel in the east, and you control the sea at the north. And Israel is surrounded, Egypt is surrounded. When I explained that to the Salafi, who had taken weapons and money from the Saudis and so on to overthrow Libyan government, when I explained to them this verse of the Quran that you're no longer Muslims, you've left Islam, they were very hostile to me. Very, very hostile. They went mad with their hostility, but suddenly some of them began to quiet down and went to the Quran and began to study the Quran, and eventually, praise be to Allah, realized that Imran was right and that they were wrong in what they did. And they made Tawbah. But now it's too late. Because the minute you make Tawbah in Libya and you step out of line, they're going to hunt you down the way they hunt rabbits and exterminate you because you become a threat to them. The same mistake which was made in Libya is now being made in Syria. It's a Yankee jihad. Why are they so hell-bent on getting control of Syria after they had Libya?